So I'd like to talk about two specific opportunities in terms of working with kids, whether you're a parent or another caregiver or whether you're a teacher, and helping them develop emotional literacy and moving into emotional intelligence. So we have a curriculum for school called self-science. And the reason it's called self-science is that we want young people to observe themselves like scientists. And the very beginning part of that is being able to stop and reflect, rewind the videotape a little bit. So what just happened? And having a little bit of objectivity, saying, okay, well, what were the choices? Let's not label them, let's not judge them, let's not say what was good or bad. Let's just notice what happened. What did you feel? What did you think? What did you do? What choices did you make? Now, if you're working with young children, preschool age children, just getting them to recognize, I made a choice. And helping them name the choices. Oh, so you felt angry and so you made a choice to slam the door. Oh, so you felt worried, so you made a choice to go hide under your covers. You felt sad, so you made a choice to come to me for comfort. And not always in negative or positive. We're just recognizing, oh, you're making choices, and these emotions are part of those choices. What we're doing in this notion of self-science, of observing self and gathering data, in this scientific process, what happens is you start collecting data, and from that data you start to make hypotheses. I wonder what this means. Well, I wonder what this is about. I wonder why, this curiosity. And then you start to test those hypotheses. You say, maybe this means this, and let me experiment with it, let me work with it, let me try that. And then you start to integrate the conclusions, and you say, this means this, and here's how it fits into my understanding. That's the scientific process. So in self-science, we use the scientific process, but we use it about yourself. And we start by developing this sense of observing. And at the beginning stages, what we do is we stop the action. So there's an issue. Maybe we'll do an experiment, like we'll play some kind of game. And maybe it's a game where the rules aren't very clear deliberately. And so then someone does something which someone else thinks is cheating. And then we'll stop and we'll go, okay, well, let's talk about what happened. Let's be scientists and observe ourselves. So at the beginning stage, what we're doing is we're rewinding the videotape and learning to observe ourselves. As we get more sophisticated with this, we start to internalize this capacity so that in just a moment we can observe ourselves. And then we can start to observe ourselves in real time. So I'm sitting here right now having this conversation with you, but I can have a little part of my awareness noticing myself here. And this is an interesting challenge, and it's a wonderful thing about the human brain. We have the capacity to be in the movie and watching the movie and just living in this movie. At the very same time, we have the capacity to step back and go, oh, look at me in that movie. I'm a character in my own movie. What am I doing? What's happening? What are my hands doing? What's my body doing? How am I sitting? And as I'm sitting here saying this to you, I'm watching myself, I'm imagining myself, I'm kind of looking at how I'm sitting, and I can do the same thing about my thinking. What's happening in my thinking? Am I thinking about problems? Am I thinking about solutions? I can do the same thing in my feeling. I can notice my own feelings right now and how those feelings are shaping how I'm thinking and how I'm reacting, even the tone of voice that I'm using, and those feelings are starting to change me. So that's that process. We start by rewinding the tape and observing, noticing the choices. We become more sophisticated in those observations, seeing thoughts, feelings, actions, the linkages between those things. Oh, when I thought this, I felt this. When I felt this, I thought this. When I felt this, I did that. We see these linkages, these cause and effect relationships, and then we start to do it in real time. So that's the reason we call the curriculum self-science, is because we want that kind of observation to develop, and the point where we become more mindful of how we're responding and how we're reacting. So the other question that Alan asked was, how can we use these skills when kids are in the middle of strong feelings? There's some recent research that I find absolutely fascinating. There's a part of your brain called the amygdala, and that amygdala is responsible for particular kinds of reactive emotions and responses that are protection: fight, flight, and freeze. And the amygdala gets triggered when we start to feel a sense of threat, anxiety. There's a study that was just done using an fMRI, functional MRI, where they can watch somebody's amygdala getting triggered as they show them some video of something disturbing. And then they ask the person to start naming the feelings that they have. And just naming the feelings starts to soothe the amygdala. What's happening is we're making a link between our cognition, our analytical awareness, and our emotional awareness. And we're acknowledging those feelings in ourselves. We're validating what we're feeling and putting them into words. Words have power. Words give us mastery, give us understanding. Just naming the feelings starts to transform them.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So when you're working with kids or by yourself and you want to help deal with an emotionally charged situation, just naming the feelings is an incredibly powerful step.
What you're talking about really is like if a kid is being bullying somebody in school and so on. You know, that's the lack of emotional literacy. Now that kid needs therapy, unfortunately, or healing and so on. So it's like beyond, because if they were emotionally literate, they wouldn't be in a situation. Because part of emotional literacy is reading and writing. Writing is expressing, but reading is being empathic. When you feel other people's feeling, forgot to mention this as part of emotional literacy. It's not about you knowing how to express properly, but knowing how to feel what other people are feeling. That's called empathy. So that you understand them better, so you can love them better, and so on. So when that kid who is a bully, if he was emotionally literate, he would be empathic. If he would be an empathic kid, would not go out and kick another kid, because they would know how that feels, and so on, right? So that kid, unfortunately, was not emotionally illiterate again. But now, what happens if a kid is emotionally literate who is receiving that bullying? He would know how to respond to that. He might stand up and look at him in the eyes and say, "Why are you hurting my feeling?" And suddenly you see that bully just crumble. Yes, but when you face them, that they're hurting somebody else because they're completely numbed. That's what they're, so on. They're not feeling anything, so on.
So I want to just add one more point to this, which is that a lot of times we, as parents and teachers and caregivers, we see these kinds of interactions as problems, and obviously they can be very destructive and they can lead to hurt, and that can be internalized and it can create problems. But most of the time, they're learning opportunities. And if we can just reframe and we say, okay, when kids are upset, that's an opportunity, that's a gift. And when kids come to you with their emotions, pleasant, unpleasant, restrictive, expansive, whatever they're feeling, when they come to you with that, that's a golden opportunity for you to engage in this world of emotional literacy.
Beautiful, beautiful, well said. The next month we are launching a social network, not unlike Facebook or MySpace, but for parents who are concerned teaching emotional literacy to their children, and for school teachers and other adults. And we're hoping to have lots of media, a lot of workshop and event, and for parents and school teachers to socialize and network and connect with each other and share their experiences and speed up that critical mass of emotional literacy. At the same time, we'll be launching next month the FEEL, F-E-E-L, a 1 million signature campaign. We put it in the back, we started a couple of years ago in the back burner, but now we're launching it full time, and we'd love you to go to FEEL.org, F-E-E-L.org, and sign the petition, contribute in whatever ways you can contribute. There are many, many ways you can do so. And we're hoping to take that million signature to the government, to United Nations, and demand, and lobby for emotional literacy. We'll have to hire lobbyists, but we have to bring in emotional literacy to our school and families and so on. And other governments have already done so, like in England. And so. Thank you. There will be a question and answer session coming straight after.